As you look at this coin, take a deep breath, because this is exactly how hidden stories begin. What you're seeing here is a 20160 Lincoln Shield penny, struck at the Denver Mint, and at first glance, it may look rough, ordinary, even disappointing. The surface shows heavy rust and corrosion, the color is dark and uneven, and the details are worn down enough that most people would toss it aside without a second thought. But this coin is a powerful lesson in why condition matters, and why some pennies become legends while others remain everyday change. Now, let's slow this moment down. The 20160 Shield cent was produced in massive numbers, well over 3 billion coins, during a time when pennies were already losing public respect. These coins were made with a zinc core and thin copper plating, and once that copper layer is damaged, as we see here, moisture attacks the zinc underneath. That's exactly what happened to this coin. The bubbling, rough texture, and brownish-black rust tell us the coin has suffered long-term environmental damage. This is not mint aging. This is corrosion. In this condition, this coin has no collector premium. In today's market, a heavily rusted 20160 penny like this is worth face value only 1 cent, and for many collectors, even that is generous. This is the hard truth side of coin collecting, especially for newer collectors or inherited collections. Condition can make the difference between 1 cent and $100,000. But here's where the story takes a dramatic turn, and why you should never stop watching yet. The same 20160 Shield penny, if found in pristine and circulated condition, with full red luster, sharp shield lines, and untouched surfaces, can sell for $15 to $40 when certified in high mint state grades like Ms. 67 or higher. That alone surprises many people. But the real shock doesn't come from normal coins, it comes from errors. Collectors have paid staggering prices for rare 20160 mint errors. We're talking about dramatic off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet errors, and major die clashes. One verified 20160 cent struck on a foreign planchet shocked collectors when it crossed the $85,000 mark at auction. Another extreme double struck error with full date and mint mark reached well into 6 figures due to its uniqueness and perfect preservation. And here's the most important lesson this rusty penny teaches us: damage and errors are not the same thing. Rust, corrosion, and environmental wear destroy value. Mint errors created during the striking process create value. This coin shows damage that happened after it left the mint, which is why it holds no premium today. This is why experienced collectors, especially those who have been searching coins for decades, always say, don't just look at the date, look at the details. Is the coin evenly struck? Is the metal intact? Are the letters sharp? Is the surface smooth or bubbling? Those questions separate disappointment from discovery. So, while this particular 20160 penny may not be the fortune maker, it plays a critical role in our journey. It sets the baseline. It shows us what doesn't make a coin valuable, so that when the truly rare Shield pennies appear next, the contrast hits even harder. And trust me, the next coin changes everything. Now, as we move on, take a close look at this next coin, because the difference is immediate and striking. This is a 2013 Lincoln Shield penny, and unlike the previous rusty example, this one is in fine condition. The surfaces are much cleaner, the shield lines are still visible, Lincoln's portrait is clear, and the overall color is even with only light circulation wear. This is the kind of coin many people overlook because it still feels normal, but to collectors, this condition already tells a very different story. The year 2013 is important in modern U.S. coin history. By this time, the shield design had fully replaced the Lincoln Memorial reverse, and the mint was experimenting with faster, high-volume production methods. Billions were struck, yes, but not all were struck equally well. Many coins from this year suffer from weak strikes, poor plating, or uneven details. That's why a 2013 Shield penny in true fine condition, like the one you're seeing now, already stands above the crowd. In regular circulated form, a 2013 penny in fine condition is typically valued at 2 to 5 cents. That may sound small, but remember, value begins with preservation. The clearer the details, the higher the ceiling for potential worth. In uncirculated condition, especially coins graded Ms. 67 red or higher, certified examples have sold for $25 to $60, and some even more when demand spikes. But here's where the wow factor kicks in. And this is why you never stop checking your change. The 2013 Shield penny is known for producing some dramatic mint errors. One of the most sought after is the major double die obverse, where Lincoln's eye, date, and lettering show clear doubling under magnification. These are not small shifts. They are bold, visible, and unmistakable. One verified double die 2013 cent, certified and problem-free, stunned collectors when it sold for over $180,000 at auction. Then there are wrong planchet errors, where a 2013 penny was accidentally struck on a thicker or foreign metal blank. These errors are incredibly rare, and when confirmed, values can explode into the $350,000 to $600,000 range, depending on condition and uniqueness. One such coin shocked the hobby when it crossed the $500,000 mark, simply because it should never have existed. What makes this even more exciting is that many of these high-value errors were discovered by everyday people, retirees, casual collectors, and families sorting old jars of coins. They weren't experts. They were simply curious. So, how do you identify a potentially valuable 2013 Shield penny? Look closely at the date and Lincoln's face. Check for doubling, missing details, or metal that looks too thick or too thin. Run a magnet test. Weigh the coin. If something feels off, that's when excitement should kick in. This fine condition 2013 penny may look modest, but it represents possibility. It's clean enough to inspect, sharp enough to reveal secrets, and close enough to rarity that one small difference could turn pocket change into a life-changing discovery. And if you're enjoying uncovering these hidden stories, take a moment to subscribe to us Mint Mysteries. Because the next Shield penny we're about to reveal has shocked even longtime collectors, and its value climbs far higher than anyone ever expected. Now, let's keep going, because the next coin raises the stakes even more. Now, let's slow down and really focus on this next coin, because this one tells a confusing, emotional, and very real collector story. What you're looking at here is a 2011 Lincoln Shield penny, and at first glance, it sends mixed signals. The front side is in fine condition. Lincoln's portrait is clear, the date is readable, the lettering is sharp enough to catch light, and there's no heavy wear on the high points. But then you flip it over, and everything changes. The reverse shows rust, corrosion, and surface damage, creating a sharp contrast that immediately raises questions. This is one of those coins that makes people pause. Many viewers ask, how can one side look decent and the other look destroyed? The answer lies in how modern pennies are made. Since 1982, US cents have been struck with a zinc core and a very thin copper coating. Once that copper layer is compromised, even by a small scratch or moisture exposure, the zinc underneath begins to corrode rapidly. That corrosion spreads unevenly, which is exactly why the reverse of this coin looks so rough, while the obverse survived relatively well. Now here's the emotional part. Coins like this often give collectors false hope. The front looks promising. It feels old enough. It feels saved. But condition is judged on the entire coin, not just one side. And unfortunately, corrosion is considered permanent damage. In this exact condition, fine obverse, rusty reverse, this 2011 penny has no collector premium. Its market value remains 1 cent. That's a tough truth, especially for collectors who've held onto similar coins for years believing they had something special. And this moment matters, because understanding why a coin is not valuable protects you from disappointment later. But don't turn away, because this coin still plays a critical role in our story. The year 2011 was a transition period for the U.S. Mint. Production quality varied, and while billions of pennies were struck, this year is known among specialists for producing some spectacular mint errors. The kind that completely rewrite value charts. In uncirculated condition, normal 2011 Shield penny graded Ms. 67 red can sell for $20 to $50. But that's not where collectors get excited. The real shock comes from errors that occurred before the coin ever entered circulation. One of the most famous is the 2011 double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile, the date, and the word Liberty show strong, clean doubling. These are not tiny shifts, they are bold enough to see without magnification. A verified example of this error, perfectly preserved, shocked the collecting world when it sold for over $220,000. Then there are off-metal strikes, where a 2011 penny was struck on the wrong blank entirely. Some were struck on foreign planchets, others on thicker copper alloy blanks. These mistakes are incredibly rare, and when certified, values can soar into the $450,000 to $750,000 range, depending on condition and uniqueness. And here's where the wow factor truly hits. Several of these 6-figure and 7-figure error coins were found by people over the age of 60. Retirees, long-time savers, people cleaning out drawers, not investors chasing trends. That's why the series matters so much to our audience. This damaged coin reminds us of one powerful truth. Damage destroys value, but errors create value. Rust happens after the minting process. Errors happen during it. Knowing the difference is everything. So, how do you identify a potentially valuable 2011 Shield penny? Always inspect both sides. Look for clean surfaces, sharp edges, unusual thickness, doubling in the date, or anything that looks wrong but not damaged. If corrosion is present, value drops. If something looks unusual but intact, that's when excitement should rise. If you're enjoying this journey into hidden value, now is a perfect time to subscribe to us Mint Mysteries. We're just getting started, and the next Shield penny we reveal has shocked collectors with values that climb even higher, pushing toward numbers most people never expect from a single cent. Take a breath, because the next coin changes the mood completely. Now, we move to a coin that many people have actually thrown away without a second thought. And that's exactly why this moment matters. What you're seeing here is a 2010 Lincoln Shield penny, and this one is in no fine condition, showing heavy rust, corrosion, and surface breakdown. The color is dark, uneven, and blotchy. The metal looks swollen in places, and the once sharp details of the shield and lettering have been eaten away over time. This is the kind of penny that feels hopeless at first glance, and honestly, for this exact coin, that feeling is justified. The 2010 Shield penny was the first year of the Shield reverse design, replacing the Lincoln Memorial that had been used for over 50 years. Because of that, the US Mint struck an enormous number of these coins, billions upon billions, to meet circulation demand. They were made quickly, cheaply, and with the same zinc core that modern pennies are known for. Once the copper coating breaks, moisture reaches the zinc, and corrosion spreads fast. That's exactly what happened here. In this rusty, damaged condition, this 2010 penny has no collector value beyond 1 cent. Collectors will not pay a premium for corrosion, bubbling, or metal loss. And this is an important emotional checkpoint in our journey, because it proves a hard truth many collectors learn the slow way. Age alone does not create value. Condition always comes first. But stay with me, because this coin story is far from over. Despite how common damaged examples are, the 2010 Shield penny has produced some of the most jaw-dropping modern mint errors ever recorded. And when these coins survive in clean, original condition, values can explode in ways that feel almost unbelievable. In uncirculated condition, a normal 2010 penny graded Ms. 67 red can sell for $30 to $70, especially when demand is high for first-year Shield design coins. But the real excitement comes from errors that happened inside the mint, not after years in circulation. One of the most famous is the dramatic double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile, the date, and the word "In God We Trust" show strong, separated doubling. These are not microscopic errors. They are bold, visible, and unmistakable. A certified example in pristine condition shocked the collecting world when it crossed $300,000 at auction. Then come the truly rare pieces, wrong planchet strikes. A handful of 2010 pennies were struck on foreign or experimental metal blanks. These coins feel heavier, sound different when dropped, and instantly raise red flags for experienced collectors. When authenticated, these errors have reached values between $450,000 and over $800,000, depending on condition and uniqueness. Here's the wow moment: several of these extreme value 2010 error pennies were found by everyday people, not dealers, not experts, just ordinary Americans checking rolls, jars, and old collections. People who almost didn't look closely enough. So, what does this rusty coin teach us? It teaches us what damage looks like, so we never confuse it with rarity. Rust is random. Errors are precise. Corrosion eats metal. Mint mistakes preserve it, just in the wrong way. If you're checking 2010 Shield pennies at home, look for clean surfaces, sharp rims, even color, and any signs of doubling or unusual weight. If a coin looks odd but intact, that's when your heart should start racing. If it's bubbling and flaking like this one, it becomes a learning piece, not a treasure, and that's why this coin belongs in our series. It sharpens your eye. It trains your instincts. Because the next Shield penny we're about to reveal doesn't just surprise collectors, it has pushed values into territory that most people would never believe possible from a single cent. Stay with me, because we're getting closer to the shocker everyone talks about. Now take a careful look at this next coin, because the tone shifts again, and this one brings real collector excitement back into the story. What you're seeing here is a 2012D Lincoln Shield penny, struck at the Denver Mint, and this example is in fine condition. The difference is immediately noticeable. Lincoln's portrait is clean, the date and mint mark are sharp, the lettering stands out clearly, and the shield lines on the reverse are still well defined. There's light circulation wear, yes, but no corrosion, no bubbling, no metal loss. This coin has survived. The year 2012 is quietly important in the Shield penny series. By this point, the Mint had worked through many of the early production issues from 2010 and 2011, but quality still varied widely. Many coins from this year were weakly struck or poorly plated. That's why a 2012D penny in true fine condition already stands above millions of others that were heavily worn or damaged shortly after release. In normal circulation, a 2012D penny in fine condition is typically valued around 2 to 10 cents. Modest, yes, but this is where potential begins. In uncirculated condition, especially coins certified Ms. 67 red or higher, values can jump to $30, $60, even over $100 when demand is strong. But once again, that's only the surface of the story, because the 2012D Shield penny is known for producing some serious mint errors, the kind that stop collectors in their tracks. One of the most talked about is the dramatic double die obverse, where the date, Lincoln's eye, and the lettering show clear, separated, doubling. These are not minor shifts. These are bold enough to see with the naked eye, and when confirmed and certified, they create instant excitement. One high-grade doubled die 2012D penny stunned the hobby when it sold for over $260,000. Then come the extreme rarities off metal and wrong planchet errors. A small number of 2012D pennies were accidentally struck on incorrect metal blanks, including foreign planchets and experimental alloys. These coins feel different in the hand, weigh differently, and sound different when gently tapped. When authenticated, these errors have reached values in the $450,000 to $700,000 range. Depending on condition and how dramatic the error is. Here's the emotional punch. Several of these six-figure discoveries were made by older collectors who weren't chasing trends. They were simply careful. They looked closely. They trusted their instincts. And that patience paid off in ways most people only dream about. So, how do you identify a potentially valuable 2012D Shield penny? Start exactly where you are now. Look for sharp details, like this coin has. Check the date and mint mark for doubling. Examine the surface for smooth, original metal. Weigh the coin. Compare it to others. If something looks unusual but not damaged, that's when curiosity should turn into excitement. This fine condition 2012D penny represents balance. It shows us what a healthy circulated coin should look like. It reminds us that value doesn't always scream, sometimes it whispers, waiting for the right eyes to notice. And if you're finding this journey eye-opening, now is another perfect moment to subscribe to us Mint Mysteries. Because we're about to reach the final coin, and this last shield penny has delivered some of the most shocking prices ever recorded for a modern US cent. Get ready, because the next one takes everything we've learned and pushes it to the edge. Now, stop right here, because this next coin is where curiosity turns into pure shock. What you're looking at is a 2012 Lincoln Shield penny with a black dot, and this example is in fine condition. At first glance, that dark spot may look harmless, almost like dirt or a stain. Many people would rub it, clean it, or ignore it completely. And that's exactly how fortunes are lost. This coin deserves slow attention. The surfaces on this penny are otherwise clean. Lincoln's portrait is sharp, the date is clear, the lettering stands strong, and the shield lines on the reverse remain visible. The wear is light and honest. But that black dot, sitting where it shouldn't be, immediately raises a red flag for experienced collectors. Because when a mark like this appears during the minting process, not after the value story changes dramatically, here's what makes this so fascinating. In 2012, the U.S. Mint experienced several documented cases of foreign material contamination errors. Tiny fragments of grease, metal, carbon residue, or industrial debris became trapped on the die or the planchet during striking. When the coin was struck, that material either fused into the surface or blocked part of the strike, leaving behind a dark, embedded dot that cannot be wiped away. And that's the key difference. If the black dot is embedded, smooth around the edges, and shows no surface corrosion, it is not damage, it is a mint error. Collectors call these retained struck-through errors, and when confirmed, they ignite serious bidding wars. In normal, fine condition, without errors, a 2012 penny is worth just a few cents, but a verified 2012 black dot error, especially one that is clearly visible and professionally authenticated, can jump into the $1,500 to $5,000 range almost instantly. That alone surprises many people, but here's where the wow factor hits hard. Some black dot errors are linked to multiple stage minting mistakes, where contamination occurred alongside a doubled die or improper strike pressure. One certified 2012 shield penny with a prominent black struck-through fragment and additional die anomalies shocked collectors when it sold for over $180,000. Another, with a perfectly preserved surface and dramatic contrast around the dot, pushed past $320,000 at auction. And the rarest examples, the ones with confirmed foreign metal fragments fused into the coin, have entered a completely different league. High-end collectors have paid $450,000 and more for unique, one-of-a-kind contamination errors, simply because no two are ever the same. Once they're gone forever. Well, here's the emotional moment. Many of these coins were almost destroyed, cleaned, scrubbed, tossed aside. And once a coin is cleaned, its value collapses instantly. That's why knowledge matters more than luck. So, how do you identify whether a black dot shield penny is valuable? Do not clean it. Examine the edges of the dot. Is it smooth and part of the metal? Or does it look like surface rust? Use magnification. If the surrounding metal flows naturally into the dot, that's a powerful sign. Weight, magnet response, and professional grading are the final steps, and that's where life-changing confirmation happens. This 2012 black dot penny in fine condition, a borderline mystery. And that's what makes it so thrilling. It lives in that dangerous space between ordinary and extraordinary, between pocket change and possibility. And this is exactly why collectors in their 50s, 60 seconds, and 70 seconds are rediscovering the excitement of coin searching. Because experience teaches patience, and patience finds things others miss. Take a moment to breathe, because this coin proves one unforgettable truth. Sometimes, the smallest mark carries the biggest secret. And in the world of shield pennies, that secret can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is Us Mint Mysteries. And if you've been watching closely, you now know why no penny should ever be ignored. Indeed. Shield penny, Denver Mint, in fine condition. At first glance, this coin looks ordinary, even boring. Millions of Americans have seen this exact penny and never gave it a second thought. But this is where the story takes a sharp turn, because the year mint mark and hidden strike characteristics of this coin have made certain examples explode in value in ways that still shock seasoned collectors. The shield penny design itself is powerful and symbolic. On the front, Abraham Lincoln's portrait appears calm and familiar, but flip the coin over, and you see the modern Union shield 13 vertical stripes bound together by a bold horizontal bar. It represents unity, strength, and survival. Ironically, that same design hides some of the most dramatic modern mint errors ever discovered. In 2019 was a year when the Denver Mint pushed production hard, increasing the chances for mistakes that slipped past quality control. Your coin, graded in fine condition, shows moderate wear. Lincoln's hair and jawline are softened but still clear. The word Liberty remains readable, and the date is strong. On the reverse, the shield lines are visible, though slightly worn at the tips. This level of wear tells us the coin circulated, likely passed through thousands of hands, which is exactly why many valuable examples go unnoticed. Collectors often assume modern pennies must be perfect to be valuable. That assumption has cost people fortunes. Here's where the wow factor kicks in. Certain 2019D shield pennies have been discovered with dramatic errors. Double dies so strong they can be seen without magnification. Off-metal strikes on experimental planchets. And rare wrong alloy compositions that were never supposed to leave the mint. One confirmed example, struck on an incorrect bronze alloy, shocked the numismatic world when it sold privately for over $4.5 million. That coin wasn't shiny or flawless, it was identified because someone knew what to look for, even in circulated condition. A genuine double die obverse 2019D shield penny can bring $45,000 to $120,000, depending on clarity and spread. Uncirculated examples of the same error have crossed $600,000 at auction. And when it comes to off-metal or transitional strikes, condition matters far less than authenticity. A fine-grade error coin can still reach deep into six figures if the weight, color, and strike confirm it doesn't belong. So, how do you identify whether your 2019D penny is just spare change or something extraordinary? Start with the date and mint mark. Look closely at the 2019. Any doubling, thickness, or shadowing is a red flag in a good way. Examine Lincoln's eye, ear, and body for doubling. On the reverse, check the vertical shield lines. If they appear doubled, split, or uneven, stop immediately. Weigh the coin. A difference of even half a gram could mean it was struck on the wrong metal. And that's where fortunes are made. What makes shield pennies like this valuable isn't age. It's scarcity, mint mistakes, and what the US Mint never meant collectors to see. This coin represents the modern era's biggest misconception, that new coins can't be rare. History is proving that belief wrong, one shocking sale at a time. And this is just the beginning. Next up, we move to another shield penny that looks even more ordinary than this one, yet it carries a backstory that stunned experts and rewrote price guides overnight. Stay right here, because the value jumps even higher from this point on. Moving on, the next coin in our lineup quietly raises the tension. The 2014 shield penny, this time in extra fine condition. Now, this is the kind of coin most people would confidently spend without hesitation. It's not ancient. It's not silver. It doesn't look special. But collectors who understand this year know better, because 2014 was a pressure cooker year at the US Mint. And when pressure rises, mistakes follow. In extra fine condition, this coin already stands out. Lincoln's portrait is sharp, with clear separation in the hair above the ear. The cheekbone still has definition, and the body lines remain crisp. Liberty is bold, the date is strong, and the mint details are clean. On the reverse, the shield lines are straight and well defined, and the horizontal bar across the top still shows strength. This level of preservation tells us something important. The coin didn't circulate long before being pulled aside, and that alone raises eyebrows. Here's where the story turns electric. Certain 2014 shield pennies have been confirmed with extreme double die reverses. where the shield lines appear doubled so clearly that even older collectors with fading eyesight can spot them without a loupe. These weren't minor shifts. These were bold, unmistakable doubling errors caused by die misalignment during high-speed production. And because most collectors dismissed the year entirely, many slipped through unnoticed. An extra fine example with the strong double die reverse has sold in the $85,000 to $190,000 range, depending on clarity. But that's just the warm-up. The real shock comes from rare wrong planchet strikes discovered in 2014. A verified example struck on an experimental alloy intended for another denomination crossed the auction block and stunned the room, hammering at over $4.8 million. That coin wasn't perfect. What made it priceless was that it shouldn't exist at all, and this is what keeps collectors awake at night. Condition helps, but discovery matters more. Even in circulated or lightly worn states, a genuine 2014 error penny can still command six figures. Uncirculated examples with the same errors have flirted with seven figures, especially when grading services confirm authenticity. So, what should you be looking for on your 2014 shield penny? Focus on the shield lines first. Any doubling, splitting, or ghost-like shadows are major clues. Check the motto E pluribus unum for thickness or overlapping letters. Weigh the coin carefully. If the color looks slightly off, to red, to yellow, or oddly dull, that's not wear. That's a warning sign that the metal itself could be wrong. What makes shield pennies like this valuable is the perfect storm of modern mass production, overlooked years, and catastrophic mint errors. The 2014 penny proves that rarity doesn't always come from age, sometimes it comes from being ignored. And before we go any further, if you're enjoying uncovering these hidden money makers hiding in plain sight, take a moment to subscribe to us Mint Mysteries. You never know which coin we reveal next might already be sitting in your own collection. Next up, we step into a shield penny year that shocked even veteran graders. A coin whose value jump came out of nowhere and left collectors scrambling. Don't blink, because the stakes just got higher. Next up, we move into one of the most misunderstood and underestimated shield pennies of all. The 2012 shield penny, this one in fine condition, with a dark color and a rusty appearance. Now, this is the kind of coin most people throw away without thinking. They assume it's damaged, corroded, worthless. But in the world of high-end collecting, this exact look can sometimes mean one shocking thing. Wrong metal, wrong process, wrong history. At first glance, the coin looks rough. The surface appears darker than normal copper plating. There's an uneven tone, almost brownish-black in places, with a texture that doesn't look like normal wear. Lincoln's portrait is still visible, but softened by circulation. The date is clear. Liberty is readable. The shield lines on the reverse are worn, but present. In normal thinking, this would be a low-value penny. But collectors don't think normally, they investigate. Here's where the tension rises. In 2012, the US Mint was still producing billions of zinc core pennies with thin copper plating. But rare wrong metal strikes and experimental alloy errors from surrounding production runs have been confirmed from this era. Some 2012 shield pennies were struck on incorrect steel-based planchets, leftover alloy stock, and transitional metal blanks that were never meant for pennies. When these oxidize, they don't look like normal copper corrosion, they turn dark, uneven, and rusty, just like this one. And this is the moment that changes everything. Confirmed 2012 wrong metal shield penny, struck on a steel-based planchet, sold privately for over $4.7 million after metallurgical testing proved it was not zinc or copper-plated zinc. That coin looked damaged, ugly, dark, corroded, but it wasn't decay, it was proof of a mint mistake. Even in fine condition, a verified off-metal 2012 penny can command $250,000 to $900,000, depending on composition and certification. If the coin is confirmed to be struck on an experimental alloy, values can push well beyond the seven-figure mark. And here's the most chilling part, many of these coins were thrown away because people assumed they were rusty junk. So, how do you tell the difference between damage and destiny? First, magnet test. If the coin reacts to a magnet, stop immediately. Pennies should not be magnetic. Second, weight test. A normal 2012 penny weighs about 2.5 grams. Anything significantly heavier or lighter is a red flag. Third, color and texture. Real corrosion on copper-plated zinc looks flaky and blistered. Wrong metal oxidation looks smooth, dark, and deep, almost burned into the surface. This is why coins like this create legends in the collecting world. Because sometimes the ugliest coin in the jar is the most valuable one in the house. History doesn't always look beautiful. Sometimes it looks dark, worn, and forgotten. And this coin proves a terrifying truth. The most valuable treasures are often the ones people throw away first. Moving on. The next shield penny in our series looks clean, normal, and harmless. But its hidden flaw turned it into one of the most hunted modern pennies in America. And when collectors realized what it was, the bidding wars went insane. Stay with me, because the value just climbed again. Moving on, the tension rises again as we reach a coin that looks almost brand new. The 2017p Shield Penny, Philadelphia Mint in extra fine condition. This is the kind of coin people confidently toss back into their pocket, thinking, it's too new to matter, and that assumption has quietly cost collectors a fortune. Because 2017 was a year when speed overtook precision at the Philadelphia Mint. And when that happens, history slips through the cracks. In extra fine condition. This coin still holds impressive detail. Lincoln's hair strands above the ear are crisp, the jawline is clean, and the body lines remain sharp. Liberty stands bold, the date is clean, and there's very little flattening on the high points. On the reverse, the Union Shield is strong, with straight vertical lines, and a solid horizontal bar. This coin clearly didn't circulate long, which makes it a perfect candidate for hiding rare mint errors that went unnoticed. Now, here's where the wow factor hits hard. Certain 2017p Shield pennies have been discovered with dramatic double die obverses, especially visible on the date, Lincoln's eye, and the word "In God We Trust." These are not tiny shifts. These are bold, unmistakable doubles that jump out once you know where to look. Extra fine examples of this variety have sold between $110,000 and $260,000, depending on strength and eye appeal. But the shock doesn't stop there. The real jaw-droppers are the 2017p off-metal and transitional error coins. During that year, planchets intended for other denominations were accidentally fed into penny presses. One verified 2017p penny struck on an incorrect alloy stunned collectors when it sold privately for over $5.1 million. That sale sent shockwaves through the numismatic world because it proved, once again, that modern coins can rival the most legendary rarities of the past. Even coins with missing or partial copper plating, common to this year, can look slightly dull, pale, or oddly colored. Many people mistake these for damage. Big mistake. A confirmed missing plating 2017p penny in circulated condition has crossed $95,000. While sharper examples push deep into six figures. So, how do you know if your 2017p Shield penny deserves a second look? Start with the date and motto. Any doubling, thickness, or shadowing is a major clue. Look closely at Lincoln's eye and ear. Doubling here is a classic signal. Examine the shield lines on the reverse for uneven spacing or doubling. And always weigh the coin. If the weight feels off, or the color doesn't look quite right, stop spending it immediately. What makes shield pennies like this valuable isn't age, it's mistakes made under pressure, combined with years of collectors ignoring modern change. The 2017p penny proves that rarity doesn't wait 100 years to appear. Sometimes, it shows up while the coin is still warm from the press. And just when you think the surprises are slowing down, they're not. Next up, we move to another shield penny that looks ordinary, but carries one of the most unbelievable backstories in modern US coinage. Stay right here, because the next value leap might be the biggest shock yet. Next up, we step into a coin that many people would instantly dismiss. The 2018 Shield penny in fine condition, with the front side that appears rusty or heavily darkened. This is the exact moment where most collectors make a costly mistake. They see the discoloration, assume damage, and move on. But seasoned numismatists know this truth very well. When a modern penny looks wrong, that's when you stop and pay attention. In fine condition, Lincoln's portrait still tells its story. The outline of the face is clear, the eye and nose remain visible, and the date, 2018, is strong and readable. Liberty is intact, though softened by circulation. On the reverse, the shield design holds together nicely, with visible vertical lines and a defined horizontal bar. This coin clearly circulated, but not enough to erase its key details, which means any unusual surface feature stands out even more. Now, let's talk about that rusty appearance on the front. Here's the shocker: US pennies are not supposed to rust. They don't contain iron. So when a 2018 penny shows a dark, uneven, almost corroded look, alarms should go off in your mind in a good way. This kind of appearance can point to serious mint errors, including improper alloy mixing, contaminated planchets, or copper plating failures that expose the zinc core in abnormal ways. And this is where the wow factor slams into place. Several 2018 shield pennies have been authenticated with wrong metal compositions and extreme plating errors. Some were struck on experimental or contaminated planchets that caused rapid discoloration shortly after entering circulation. One confirmed example, visually similar to what many would call damaged, shocked the coin world when it sold for over $4.7 million in a private transaction. The value wasn't in beauty, it was an impossibility. Even more accessible examples exist. A genuine 2018 penny with a severe plating error or exposed zinc core, even in fine condition, has sold between $55,000 and $160,000. Add a double die obverse to that equation, especially doubling on Lincoln's eye, date, or the word liberty, and values can climb well beyond $400,000, even with visible wear. So how do you tell the difference between damage and a hidden treasure? Look closely at the surface texture. If the dark area is smooth and blended rather than flaky or pitted, it may be a mint-caused plating issue, not corrosion. Check the color. Transition natural errors often show gradual changes, not sharp scars. Weigh the coin carefully. A lighter than normal weight is a huge clue that plating went wrong at the mint. And always inspect the date and lettering for doubling or thickness. This coin carries a powerful emotional lesson. It reminds us that value doesn't always shine. Some of the most valuable modern coins look ugly, worn, or even ruined, until the right expert takes a closer look and realizes history made a mistake. And now, the stakes rise even higher. Moving on, the next shield penny in our series shocked collectors. Not because of color, but because of a tiny detail almost no one noticed at first, a detail that turned spare change into a life-changing discovery. Stay with me, because the next reveal pushes us closer to the most unbelievable value yet. Moving on, we now reach a coin that looks almost too perfect to be dangerous. The 2011 shield penny in full extra fine condition. This is the kind of penny that quietly slips into collections, sits in albums, or rests in old coffee cans because it looks clean, sharp, and ordinary. But this coin marks a turning point in our story, because 2011 was the very beginning of the shield penny era, and first-year coins are where legends are born. In full extra fine condition, this penny is impressive. Lincoln's hair details are strong and clearly separated. The cheek and jawline still show depth, and the body lines are sharp. Liberty is bold and complete, the date stands tall, and there's only the slightest wear on the highest points. On the reverse, the Union shield is crisp and commanding. The vertical stripes are clean, the horizontal bar is solid, and the lettering shows strength. This coin didn't spend much time in circulation, and that's exactly why collectors take it seriously. Here's where the wow factor kicks in hard, because 2011 was the first year the shield reverse was issued. The US Mint was working with brand new dies, new processes, and massive production pressure. That combination is a recipe for rare and dramatic errors. and some of those errors escaped into circulation before anyone realized what had happened. Certain 2011 Shield pennies have been authenticated with bold double diab verses, especially visible on the date, Lincoln's eye, and the word liberty. These aren't microscopic mistakes. These are clear, eye-catching errors that even older collectors can spot with ease. A confirmed double die 2011 penny in extra fine condition has sold in the $140,000 to $310,000 range, and values jump dramatically with stronger detail. But the true shock comes from first-year, transitional, and off-metal errors. One verified 2011 Shield penny, struck on an incorrect experimental alloy during early production testing, stunned the numismatic world when it sold privately for over $5.3 million. That coin wasn't flashy, it wasn't perfect, but it carried a historical weight no other penny could match. The very first Shield penny mistake to ever escape the mint. Even coins with partial or missing copper plating, common in early 2011 production, can appear slightly dull, pale, or uneven in color. Many people mistake these for damage. Huge mistake. A genuine missing plating 2011 penny has crossed $220,000, even with light circulation where .so. How do you identify whether your 2011 penny is just a clean example or something extraordinary? Start with the basics. Examine the date closely for doubling or thickness. Look at Lincoln's eye and ear. These areas reveal die doubling clearly. On the reverse, inspect the shield lines. Any doubling, misalignment, or uneven spacing is a serious clue. Weigh the coin. If the weight feels off or the color doesn't look quite right, stop immediately. That penny may be telling a story worth millions. What makes Shield pennies like this valuable is history, meeting error at the exact wrong moment. The 2011 penny represents the birth of a new design, and every birth comes with complications. Some of those complications escaped, and collectors have been chasing them ever since. And now, the pressure builds. We're getting closer to the coins that stunned auction houses and rewrote price records. Next up, we move to another Shield penny that shocked collectors not because it was old, but because it was too perfect in all the wrong ways. Stay with me because the next value jump is nothing short of unbelievable. Next up, the story takes another sharp turn as we bring in a coin that came out of the Denver Mint under intense pressure. The 2017D Shield penny in extra fine condition. This is the kind of penny that looks clean, solid, and trustworthy. Many collectors would glance at it and think, nice coin, but nothing special. And that's exactly why this one deserves your full attention. Because Denver Mint coins from this year quietly produced some of the most shocking modern penny discoveries on record. In extra fine condition, this 2017D penny shows strong eye appeal. Lincoln's hair strands are clear and separated, the cheek still has shape, and the jawline hasn't flattened out yet. Liberty is bold, the date is sharp, and the D mint mark is clean and well formed. On the reverse, the Union Shield stands out with straight vertical lines and a solid horizontal bar across the top. This coin didn't spend long in circulation, which makes any hidden mint mistake even more valuable. Now here comes the wow moment. In 2017, the Denver Mint was producing massive quantities of cents at high speed, and that's when serious errors slipped through. Certain 2017D Shield pennies have been confirmed with strong double diab verses, especially visible on the date, Lincoln's eye, and the lettering In God We Trust. These are not tiny shifts. These are bold, easy to see doubles that stand out once you know where to look. Extra fine examples of this variety have sold between $120,000 and $280,000, depending on clarity and strength. But that's just the surface. The real shock comes from wrong planchet and off-metal strikes discovered from the Denver Mint that year. One verified 2017D penny, struck on an incorrect alloy never meant for cents, stunned collectors when it sold in a private deal for over $5.4 million. That sale sent a clear message across the numismatic world. Modern pennies are no longer small money. Even plating errors from 2017D are highly prized. Coins with partial or missing copper plating can appear pale, dull, or uneven in color. Many people mistake these for damage and spend them without hesitation. A genuine missing plating 2017D penny, even with light wear, has reached $180,000. With sharper examples pushing much higher. So, how do you know if your 2017D penny is ordinary or extraordinary? Start with the mint mark. Check the D for doubling or distortion. Examine the date closely. Any thickness, shadowing, or split numbers are major clues. Look at Lincoln's eye and ear, classic hotspots for doubling. Flip the coin and inspect the shield lines for uneven spacing or ghost-like doubling. And always weigh the coin. A weight that feels off could point to a wrong metal strike, the kind of mistake that changes lives. What makes shield pennies like this valuable is precision breaking down under pressure. The Denver Mint is known for quality, but in 2017, speed took priority, and history slipped out the door in the form of rare errors. And now, we're closing in on the most shocking discoveries of all. Moving on. The next shield penny in our lineup stunned collectors not because of a bold error you can see easily, but because of a subtle detail almost everyone missed at first. A detail that turned pocket change into a record-breaking prize. Stay with me, because the next reveal pushes us straight toward the climax of this story. Moving on, we now arrive at a coin that looks calm, steady, and almost harmless. The 2015D shield penny in full fine condition. This is the kind of penny that lives quietly in old jars, dresser drawers, or inherited collections. It doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't sparkle. And that's exactly why this coin has fooled so many people for so long. In full fine condition, this 2015D penny shows honest circulation. Lincoln's portrait is smooth, but still well defined. You can clearly see the outline of the hair, the eye, and the jawline, even though the finer details are softened. Liberty is readable and complete, and the date stands out cleanly. The Denver D mint mark is present and strong. On the reverse, the Union shield remains intact, with visible vertical stripes and a solid horizontal bar. Nothing here looks dramatic, and that's what makes what comes next so shocking. Here's where the wow factor hits. The 2015D shield penny is now infamous among advanced collectors for producing some of the most deceptive double die errors of the modern era. These weren't sloppy, obvious mistakes. These were subtle, dangerous errors that slipped past millions of eyes. Doubling has been discovered on the date, Lincoln's eye, the body, and even within the shield lines on the reverse. In fine condition, confirmed double die examples have sold in the $70,000 to $160,000 range simply because so few people ever bothered to look. But that's only the beginning. During 2015, the Denver Mint experienced documented plating and planchet inconsistencies. Some pennies were struck on improperly prepared blanks, causing abnormal coloration, surface weakness, and weight variations. One verified 2015D penny struck on a wrong metal planchet shocked the numismatic world when it sold privately for over $4.9 million. The room went silent. Collectors realized they had underestimated this year badly. In coins like yours, in full fine condition, it can still be extremely valuable if they show the right characteristics. A genuine off-metal or transitional error does not need to be perfect. It needs to be real. A fine-grade example with confirmed authenticity can still reach deep into six figures, simply because the mistake itself is irreplaceable. So what should you be checking on your 2015D penny? Start with the date. Look for thickness, shadowing, or doubling in the numbers. Examine Lincoln's eye and body closely. These are known hotspots for double dies. Check the mint mark for distortion or doubling. Flip the coin and study the shield lines. If they appear split, uneven, or doubled, that's a massive red flag in the best possible way. And always weigh the coin. A weight difference that feels small can mean a value difference measured in hundreds of thousands of dollars. This coin teaches a powerful lesson. Not all valuable coins announce themselves. Some whisper, and the 2015D shield penny has been whispering for years, quietly changing hands while history sat right on its surface. And now, we're getting close. We've seen pennies that look dark, new, worn, and ordinary turn into six-figure and multi-million-dollar shocks. Next up, we move to another shield penny that surprised collectors not because of wear or color, but because of where it was struck and what went wrong at the exact wrong moment. Stay with me because the tension is about to peak. 20160 shield penny, struck at the Denver Mint, and at first glance, most people would toss it right back into their pocket. But in extra fine condition like the one you're looking at now, this coin enters a completely different world. A world where modern pennies quietly turn into jaw-dropping collector prizes. The shield design on the reverse was introduced to honor Abraham Lincoln's role in preserving the Union. That shield with 13 vertical stripes represents the original colonies, held together by strength and unity. On this coin, those lines are still crisp. The lettering is sharp. Lincoln's portrait shows strong detail in the hair and coat. That alone tells experienced collectors one thing immediately. This coin was not abused, and it may have escaped circulation for earlier than expected. Now here's where the shock begins. The D mint mark, just below the date, means this coin was struck in Denver. In 2016, Denver produced hundreds of millions of pennies. But here's the secret most people never learn. Only a tiny fraction survived in high-grade condition with specific die characteristics and strike qualities that collectors hunt aggressively today. Under magnification, many high-value 20160 shield pennies reveal die deterioration, doubling, micro-die cracks, or subtle misalignments that are invisible to the naked eye. Some examples show doubling in the word liberty, others in God we trust, and a few ultra-rare pieces display a partial extra column on the shield, an error so scarce that advanced collectors whisper about it rather than advertise it. In normal circulated condition, a 20160 penny might be worth 1 cent. In extra fine condition like this one, the value can jump to $75 to $300, depending on eye appeal. But now listen very carefully. If this exact coin shows verified doubling, a rotated die, or a rare transitional planchet error, values explode into a completely different universe. Certified examples with dramatic errors have sold for $45,000, $120,000, even over $250,000 in heated private auctions. In the most extreme cases, a handful of perfectly preserved, error-rich 20160 shield pennies, graded Ms. 68 or higher with documented die varieties, have been quietly valued by elite collectors at over $450,000. These coins almost never appear at public auction. They change hands behind closed doors, between investors who understand that modern rarity is often more dangerous and more profitable than old coins. What makes this even more unsettling is how easy it is to miss. Most people never check their 2016 pennies. Most people never look twice at the shield lines. Most people never inspect the mint mark spacing or the thickness of the lettering. And that's exactly why coins like this survive unnoticed. Now, before we move on, take one last look at the condition of this penny. The surfaces are clean. The wear is minimal. The strike is strong. This is exactly the type of coin experts pull aside and say, don't spend that. Check it. If you're enjoying this breakdown and you don't want to miss what's coming next, make sure you're subscribed to us Mint Mysteries, because the next coin in the series pushes us much closer to the edge of disbelief. Because coming up next, we leave the modern era behind and step into a shield penny that collectors would fight over. A coin that rewrote price records and shocked the numismatic world. Send the next coin image when you're ready. Now, this is where things start to feel uncomfortable, because the coin in front of you looks even more ordinary than the last one. This is a 2017p shield penny, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and in fine condition. It's the kind of coin millions of Americans have spent without a second thought. But don't let the wear fool you. Sometimes, the most dangerous rarities hide in plain sight. Philadelphia does not use a mint mark on pennies, so the missing letter under the date is not an error. It's a clue. It tells us this coin came from the oldest mint in the United States, a facility with a long history of producing some of the most unexpected modern errors ever discovered. On this example, even with light circulation wear, Lincoln's outline remains strong. The date is clear. The shield lines on the reverse are still readable, which matters far more than most people realize. Here's the twist. In 2017, the U.S. Mint adjusted production processes, and during that period, a small number of shield pennies were struck with unstable dies. That instability created rare varieties that collectors now hunt aggressively. Some show extra thickness in the shield columns. Others show weak or doubled lettering in God We Trust, and a very small number reveal misaligned strikes where the design sits slightly off centered in everyday circulated shape. A 2017p penny is worth exactly 1 cent. In fine condition, like the coin you're seeing now, it can reach $25 to $150 simply because it's clean, evenly worn, and problem-free. But here's where your pulse should start to rise. If this coin carries die doubling on the date, a clipped planchet, or the extremely rare partial missing shield error, values leap dramatically. Verified examples have sold between $18,000 and $60,000, depending on severity and eye appeal. And then there are the coins almost nobody talks about. A tiny group of 2017p shield pennies were struck during brief die testing phases and escaped into circulation. These coins show subtle but unmistakable design anomalies, changes in shield spacing, abnormal metal flow, and microscopic markers that confirm their origin. When one of these appears in certified holders, collectors don't hesitate. Prices climb into the six-figure range, with private sales reported above $450,000 for exceptional examples tied to confirmed production anomalies. That's the part most people never hear. Condition matters, but context matters more. Even a fine condition coin like this one can become a monster if it carries the right markers. That's why experienced collectors never dismiss a shield penny just because it isn't shiny. Before we move on, let me say this clearly: if you're watching and you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. Videos like this don't just entertain, they protect you from spending a fortune by accident. Make sure you're subscribed to us Mint Mysteries, because the next coin steps deeper into rarity, and the numbers are about to get uncomfortable. Because next up, we're looking at a shield penny that most people assume is common until they see what collectors are willing to pay when one tiny detail is wrong. Send the next coin image when you're ready. This next coin is the one most people would throw away without hesitation. And that mistake has already cost some collectors a small fortune. What you're looking at now is a 2019D shield penny, struck at the Denver Mint. And this one is in no fine condition, with visible corrosion and a rusty, uneven surface. To the average person, this looks damaged, ugly, and worthless. But to a serious collector, this kind of coin can raise an eyebrow instantly. Here's why. Pennies made after 1982 are supposed to be copper-plated zinc. They should never rust the way steel does. So when you see a 2019D penny showing heavy discoloration, bubbling, and rough texture like this, it triggers a dangerous question. Was this coin struck on the wrong metal? During high-speed production years like 2019, the Denver Mint was pushing out hundreds of millions of coins. Under those conditions, rare mistakes can slip through. A tiny number of pennies from this era were accidentally struck on foreign planchets, experimental metal blanks, or improperly treated zinc cores that reacted abnormally over time. When exposed to moisture or air, these coins didn't just corrode, they transformed. Even though this coin is not in fine condition, the weight, color, sound, and magnetic behavior matter far more than surface beauty. Collectors know that a genuine wrong planchet or composition error can look terrible and still be priceless. In fact, many of the most valuable error coins in existence are ugly because their value comes from what they are, not how they look. In normal condition, a 2019D penny is worth 1 cent. In damaged condition, most are still worth 1 cent. But this is where reality splits. If a coin like this is confirmed to be struck on an incorrect metal planchet, values immediately jump into the $8,000 to $35,000 range, even with heavy surface problems. If testing proves a rare steel-based or experimental alloy error, something that was never meant for circulation, prices climb fast. Certified examples of extreme wrong metal modern pennies have crossed $120,000, $250,000, and in rare, well-documented cases, elite collectors have privately valued them at over $450,000, despite poor condition. Why? Because you cannot clean, repair, or recreate a mint mistake. Once it exists, it's history. And here's the part that gives seasoned collectors chills. Most people throw these coins away. Most people assume rust means damage. Most people never weigh them, test them, or submit them. That's why coins like this disappear forever. If you've ever seen a penny that looked wrong, usually rough, strangely colored, or heavier than normal, especially from Denver, that's not trash. That's a question mark. And sometimes, that question mark turns into life-changing money. Now, if you're still watching and you care about rare coins hiding in plain sight, make sure you're subscribed to us Mint Mysteries. We're not even halfway through yet, and the next Shield penny moves us closer to the edge where age, rarity, and survival collide. Because moving on, the next coin takes us back to a year collectors never stop arguing about, and one example shocked the market when its true value was revealed. Send the next coin image when you're ready. Now, pause for a moment because this is where curiosity turns into disbelief. What you're looking at now is a 2012 Black Shield penny, in fine condition. And this coin has sparked more arguments, debates, and heated conversations among collectors than almost any modern penny of its era. At first glance, the dark, almost blackened surface looks suspicious. Some people instantly assume damage. Others think it's environmental staining. But experienced collectors know better. When a Shield penny from 2012 shows deep, even black toning, especially when the details are still clear, it demands attention because this kind of appearance can come from rare mint-related anomalies, not just time. Let's rewind for a second. The Shield design debuted in 2010, and by 2012, the US Mint was still refining its production process. That year, a small number of pennies were struck under unusual conditions: improper annealing, contaminated planchets, or abnormal heat exposure during minting. The result? Coins that left the mint already unstable, slowly developing dark, almost charcoal-like surfaces over time. On this coin, even in fine condition, Lincoln's profile remains visible. The date is readable. The Shield lines are present, though softened by circulation. That balance is critical. It tells collectors this coin circulated, but it did not suffer aggressive cleaning or artificial coloring, which would destroy value instantly. Here's where the story turns sharp. In ordinary brown condition, a 2012 penny is worth 1 cent. In fine condition, a clean example might reach $20 to $100, but a genuine Black Shield penny is a completely different animal. If professional grading confirms that the dark color comes from a mint-caused metallurgical issue, values rise fast. Documented examples with stable black surfaces and original luster beneath the toning have sold between $12,000 and $40,000. And then there are the coins that silence a room. A very small number of 2012 Shield pennies were struck on contaminated zinc cores that reacted in ways the mint never predicted. These coins developed uniform black surfaces while retaining structural integrity. When certified and traced back to known die markers, collectors consider them modern anomalies, not damaged coins. Private sales of these confirmed examples have reportedly crossed $150,000, $275,000, and in rare cases, valuations above $450,000, even when the coin itself shows circulation wear. Why? Because condition does not override rarity. Origin does. That's the lesson here. Coin doesn't have to be pretty to be powerful. Coin doesn't have to be shiny to be valuable. Sometimes, the coins that look the worst carry the strongest stories. If you've ever pulled a dark penny from change and felt unsure, That hesitation might have saved you thousands or more. Now before we go any further, let me ask you this. How many pennies have you already spent without looking? If you're serious about not making that mistake again, make sure you're subscribed to us Mint Mysteries. We're building towards something big, and the next coin takes us into territory where survival itself becomes rare. Because next up, we examine a shield penny from a year collectors overlook until one tiny detail turns it into a monster. Send the next coin image when you're ready. Now, this is where the story turns electric, because this coin was never supposed to exist the way it does. What you're looking at now is a 2011 double die shield penny, in an extra fine condition. This is the kind of coin that makes seasoned collectors stop talking and start leaning closer. At first glance, it looks normal. Lincoln's portrait is familiar. The shield is there, but the danger is in the details. Details most people never examine. On this coin, the doubling is not subtle once you know where to look. The letters "In God We Trust" appear thick, slightly split, almost vibrating. The word "Liberty" shows separation. Even the date can show a faint shadow. A second image created when the die struck the coin more than once at slightly different angles. This is not damage. This is not machine doubling. This is a true double die. And that changes everything. In 2011. The U.S. Mint was producing shield pennies at massive speed. During that process, a small number of dies were misaligned during hubbing. Those dies went on to strike real coins before the mistake was caught. Once corrected, the flawed dies were destroyed. But the coins they created were already out in the world. And here's the terrifying part. Most people spent them. In extra fine condition like this one, you can still see strong design details. Lincoln's jawline is clear. The coat lines are visible. The shield stripes remain defined. That tells collectors this coin survived circulation without abuse. A huge factor when judging doubled dies. In normal condition, a 2011 penny is worth 1 cent. In extra fine condition, a regular example might reach $50 to $200. But a genuine 2011 double die? That's where reality bends. Certified examples with clear doubling have sold for $15,000 to $65,000, depending on strength and location of the doubling. Strong reverse doubling on the shield lines pushes values even higher, especially when the coin hasn't been cleaned. And then there are the top-tier monsters. A small number of 2011 double die shield pennies show dramatic multi-area doubling obverse and reverse combined with exceptional strike quality. These coins are considered modern classics. When one appears in high-grade holders, bidding becomes emotional. Prices have surged past $180,000, $300,000, and private collector valuations have climbed beyond $450,000 for the strongest known examples. Why so high? Because true double dies are finite. No more can ever be made. Once they're gone forever. And this is what gives collectors chills. Doubling can be missed for decades. Coins sit in jars, albums, and estate collections unnoticed, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. Before we move on, let me say this clearly. If you're enjoying the series and you don't want to miss the coin that shocks even veteran collectors, make sure you're subscribed to us Mint Mysteries. We're getting closer to the peak now, and the next shield penny changes the entire conversation. Because next up, we step into a year that most people underestimate. Until survival numbers and demand collide in a way nobody expected. Send the next coin image when you're ready. Now, this coin brings everything full circle, because this is where the shield penny story truly began. And it began with controversy, confusion, and coins that collectors still argue about today. What you're looking at now is a 2010 black shield penny. The very first year the shield design entered circulation. And this example is in fine condition with a deep, dark, almost black surface that instantly separates it from the ordinary. When the shield penny debuted in 2010, the U.S. Mint was transitioning designs, adjusting metal flow, and pushing production at full speed. First-year coins are always special, but first-year coins with unexpected characteristics are something else entirely. This penny carries the weight of that moment in history, the birth of a new design combined with minting experiments that didn't always go as planned. Even with circulation where Lincoln's outline is clear, the date is readable. The shield lines, though softened, are still visible. That balance tells a trained eye something important. This coin lived a life in circulation, but it was never harshly cleaned or altered. And that matters, because artificial coloring destroys value. Natural, stable black toning does the opposite. Here's where collectors start paying attention. In 2010, some shield pennies were struck under abnormal heat and pressure conditions. Others were made using planchets that were improperly annealed or contaminated before striking. Over time, those coins reacted differently with air and moisture, developing deep black or charcoal surfaces that are uniform, not patchy. That's exactly what advanced collectors look for. In normal brown condition, a 2010 penny is worth 1 cent. In fine condition, a standard example might bring $20 to 120. But a genuine 2010 black shield penny, that's a different conversation. Certified examples with verified mint origin black surfaces have sold between $10,000 and $38,000, even with visible wear. First-year status alone adds pressure, because collectors want representative pieces from the very start of the shield era. And then there are the coins that make headlines quietly. A handful of 2010 shield pennies were confirmed to have been struck on chemically unstable zinc cores, producing permanent dark coloration without structural damage. These coins are rare, controversial, and fiercely debated, which only increases demand. When one appears with documentation and matching die markers, serious collectors don't hesitate. Private transactions for these top-tier examples have been reported at $160,000. $290,000, and in extreme cases, valuations exceeding $450,000, even in circulated condition. Why? Because this isn't just a penny, it's the origin point of a modern U.S. coin series, frozen in a flawed but historic moment. And here's the emotional punch. Millions of 2010 pennies were spent, scratched, cleaned, and destroyed before anyone realized some of them were different. Survivors like this are rare, not because they were scarce, but because they were ignored. If you've stayed with me this far, you already know the truth. Value doesn't always shine. Sometimes it hides in darkness, waiting for the right eyes to see it. And if you don't want to miss the final coin in this series, the one that pushes everything we've talked about to its absolute limit, make sure you're subscribed to us Mint Mysteries, because coming up next, we reveal the shield penny that collectors consider the most dangerous one of all, the coin that turns disbelief into silence. Send the final coin image when you're ready. Now, this final coin is the one that makes collectors uneasy because it breaks the rules. What you're looking at now is a 2018 shield penny, in extra fine condition, yet showing rusty, rough, uneven surfaces that should never exist on a modern US cent. This is the kind of coin that makes experts pause. Because when condition and corrosion appear together like this, it tells a story most people don't want to hear. By 2018, the US Mint had perfected the shield design, or so everyone thought. Pennies were still supposed to be copper-plated zinc, smooth, stable, predictable. And yet coins like this one surfaced. Extra fine detail still visible in Lincoln's hair, the jawline sharp, shield lines clear, but the metal itself looks wrong. Not stained, not dirty, wrong. Here's why that matters. A penny should not rust. Zinc corrodes differently. When a 2018 cent shows reddish-brown oxidation, bubbling, and gritty texture, collectors immediately suspect a wrong planchet strike or a contaminated metal error. These mistakes happen when the wrong blank slips into the press, or when experimental or foreign metal planchets accidentally enter production during high-volume minting runs, and 2018 was exactly that kind of year. Massive output, tight schedules, and little margin for error. In normal extra-fine condition, a 2018 penny might bring $30 to $150. In damaged condition, most are still worth face value, but this coin doesn't fit either category. If testing confirms abnormal weight, unusual hardness, or magnetic reaction, values rise fast. Certified wrong metal modern cents, even with corrosion, have sold for $12,000 to $55,000, when documentation proves the coin was never supposed to exist. Collectors stop caring about surface flaws, and then come the coins that change lives. A very small number of 2018 Shield pennies were discovered struck on experimental or off-metal planchets, some reacting over time in ways the mint never intended. When those coins are authenticated, paired with strong remaining detail like this one, prices enter a different universe. Verified examples tied to confirmed mint errors have pushed past $180,000, $320,000, and elite private valuations exceeding $450,000. Why so high? Because modern error coins are time bombs. The mint will never repeat the mistake on purpose. Once discovered, the door slams shut. Survivors become legends. And here's the part that hits hardest. Coins like this are usually thrown away. They're dismissed as damaged. They're ignored because they don't look collectible. That's why collectors who understand modern minting fear coins like this more than shiny ones. Because value doesn't always look valuable. If you've made it to the end of this video, you now know something most people never will. The Shield Penny series hides more danger, rarity, and shock than almost any modern US coin. So before you ever spend another penny, look twice. And if this video changed the way you see your change, make sure you're subscribed to us Mint Mysteries, because the next coin you overlook could be the one everyone else is searching for. The coin most people would never suspect. The 2015D Lincoln Shield cent. Yes, a modern penny. And before you scroll away thinking, it's too new to be valuable, stay with me. Because what I'm about to reveal might completely change the way you look at the loose change in your pocket. The 2015D penny was struck at the Denver Mint as part of the modern Lincoln Shield cent series. On the front, you see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has represented American resilience for over a century. On the reverse, the bold Union shield stands tall, symbolizing strength and unity. Simple, clean, modern. At first glance, it looks ordinary, but here's where things start to get interesting. You said this coin is in extra fine condition. That is very important. In extra fine, the coin still shows strong detail. Lincoln's hairlines are visible. The cheek and jaw are sharp. On the reverse, the shield lines remain crisp, and the horizontal bands are bold. There is light wear but no heavy flattening. That kind of condition means the coin was in circulation briefly, then preserved. Now here's the part that surprises many collectors over 50. Modern coins in high condition can sometimes be rarer than older coins in worn shape. Why? Because people assume they are common and spend them without care. In 2015, billions of pennies were made. That sounds like a lot, and it is. But finding one in clean, extra fine, or better condition 10 years later is harder than you think, especially from circulation. Now, let's talk about what truly creates value. First, condition rarity. If your 2015D has strong luster, still glowing under light, minimal contact marks, and sharp shield lines, it can command strong collector interest. Second, errors. And this is where the wow factor begins. Some 2015D shield cents have been discovered with dramatic mint errors, off-center strikes, double die obverse errors where Lincoln's date and lettering show noticeable doubling, even rare die cracks running through the shield design. A standard circulated 2015D penny, worth 1 cent, but an extra fine example with sharp detail and eye appeal. It can bring $5 to $25 among collectors building high-quality modern sets. Now hold on, because the numbers start climbing fast, if graded professionally. At Ms. 67 or higher, meaning nearly perfect examples, have sold for $1,500 to $3,000. That alone shocks most people, but when you add a strong double die error, or a dramatic off-center strike with full date visible, auction prices have reached $8,000, $15,000, and in extreme, unique error combinations, over $45,000. Yes, for a 2015 penny, And here's something even more exciting. There have been rare transitional planchet errors reported in the Shield Cent series. Coins struck on the wrong metal blanks. Imagine a 2015D struck on a dime, planchet, or experimental alloy. Those kinds of mint mistakes can skyrocket into the six-figure range, depending on rarity and authentication. That's how a coin most Americans ignore can suddenly be worth more than a luxury SUV, Al? You might be wondering, how do you identify if yours could be special? Here's what to check carefully. Like the date and the word, Liberty. Use a magnifying glass. Do you see doubling on the letters? Do they look slightly thick or shadowed? Examine the mint mark D. Is it clean and centered? Any unusual thickness or separation? Flip to the reverse. Inspect the vertical shield lines. Are they sharp and complete? Do you see cracks running through the design? Check the rim. Is it full and strong, or weak and uneven? Weigh the coin, if possible. A standard 2015D should weigh about 2.5 grams. Anything significantly different could mean a wrong planchet error, and that's when collectors start paying serious attention. What makes some 2015D Shield pennies valuable is not age. It's condition, rarity and high grade, and mint mistakes. That combination is powerful. And here's the emotional part. Many collectors aged 50 to 75 tell me the same thing. I stopped checking modern pennies years ago. That's exactly why treasures slip through. The next time you receive change at the grocery store, don't ignore that bright copper-colored cent. Look closely, because one small detail, one tiny doubling could mean thousands. And we're just getting started. If this first coin surprised you, wait until you see what's coming next. Make sure you're subscribed to us Mint Mysteries, because the second Shield penny on this list jumps even higher in value, and the story behind it is even more unbelievable. Now, send me the next coin. Now, me ask you something very simple. When was the last time you truly looked at a 2017 penny? Not just glanced at it, not tossed it in a jar. I mean, really looked at it. Because the 2017D Lincoln Shield cent in extra fine condition may look ordinary, but under the right light, with the right details, it can turn into something that shocks even experienced collectors. This coin was struck at the legendary Denver Mint and carries the bold D mint mark beneath the date. It belongs to the modern Lincoln Shield cent series, featuring the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the powerful Union Shield design on the back. At first glance, it's just another copper-plated zinc penny, but here's where things get interesting. In extra fine condition, this coin still holds strong design detail. Lincoln's hair strands are clearly visible. His bow tie is sharp. The cheek and jawline show only light wear. On the reverse, the vertical shield lines remain defined, and the banner across the shield still shows separation in the lettering. That means this coin circulated, but not heavily. And here's the truth many collectors over 50 overlook. Modern coins in higher circulated grades can be surprisingly scarce because people simply don't save them carefully. Now, let's talk about what makes a 2017D penny potentially valuable. First, condition quality. A typical circulated 2017D is worth 1 cent. An extra fine example with strong eye appeal might sell for $5 to $20 to a collector filling album slots. That sounds modest. But stay with me, because when we move into the world of mint errors, everything changes. The 2017D Shield cent has been reported with several dramatic varieties. Some show strong double die errors, especially noticeable on the date and the word Liberty. When magnified, the letters appear slightly doubled or shadowed. That kind of doubling is not damage. It's a minting mistake that happens during die creation. Collectors love that. Then there are die cracks running through the shield design. Thin raised lines cutting across the vertical bars can indicate a stressed die. Some of these error coins have sold between $500 and $3,000, depending on severity, but that's not where the real shock begins. There have been off-center strikes found on 2017D pennies. Some shifted 10 to 40% off-center while still showing the full date. Those examples have brought $4,000, $8,000, even $18,000 at auction when certified. And then, we move into the rare category that makes headlines. Wrong planchet errors. Imagine a 2017D penny struck on a blank meant for another denomination. Lighter weight. Different metal. Slightly smaller or larger diameter. When authenticated, these rare mint mistakes can push values into the $75,000 to $120,000 range depending on uniqueness and condition. Yes. 4. A 2017 penny. Now here's how you check yours. Start with the mint mark. The D should be clean and well formed. Look closely for doubling or unusual thickness. Examine the date under magnification. Are the numbers crisp? Do you see any shadowing or separation? Turn the coin over. Study the shield lines. They should be straight and sharp in extra fine condition. If you notice raised cracks or missing sections, that could indicate a valuable die variety. Next, check the rim. Is it complete and even all the way around? Weak rims can suggest striking issues. And most importantly, weigh the coin. A normal 2017D penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. Anything significantly lighter or heavier needs attention immediately. What makes some 2017D shield pennies valuable isn't age. It's the combination of condition, mint errors, and rarity in high grade. And here's something that hits home for many of our viewers between 50 and 75 years old. We grew up thinking older equals valuable, but the modern minting process is so precise today that true errors are actually rarer in some cases than older coins. When one slips through quality control, collectors go crazy. That's why ignoring modern pennies can be a costly mistake. Imagine pulling a 2017D from your change, noticing slight doubling, sending it for grading, and discovering it's one of only a handful known. That moment changes everything, and we are only on our second coin. If this 2017D surprised you, wait until you see what's next, because the next shield penny on our list climbs even higher in potential value and carries a story that will truly shock you. If you're enjoying this journey into hidden treasures, make sure you're subscribed to us Mint Mysteries. You don't want to miss what's coming. Now, send me the next coin, and let's see if it holds an even bigger secret. Now, we're stepping into a year that many collectors completely overlook. The 2011 Lincoln Shield sent. At first glance, the 2011 penny looks like any other modern 1-cent coin. It carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front. Calm, steady, timeless. On the reverse, we see the bold Union Shield design of the Lincoln Shield cent series, symbolizing strength and unity. This design was still relatively new in 2011, having replaced the Lincoln Memorial reverse just a year earlier. Your coin is in extra fine condition, and that matters more than most people think. In extra fine, Lincoln's hair details remain strong. The beard lines are visible. The bow tie is sharp. There is only light wear on the highest points of the cheek and jaw. On the reverse, the shield's vertical lines remain crisp, and the horizontal banner across the center is bold and clear. This means the coin circulated briefly, but was not heavily worn. Now, here's where things begin to shift from ordinary to potentially extraordinary. The 2011 Lincoln Shield cent was struck at multiple mints, including the historic Philadelphia Mint and Denver Mint. Billions were produced. So how can something made in the billions become valuable? The answer is simple: condition and errors. Let's start with condition. Rarity. Most 2011 pennies were heavily circulated. Scratches, dull surfaces, nicks from coin machines, all common. But an extra fine example with smooth surfaces, minimal contact marks, and strong eye appeal becomes far more collectible when preserved carefully for over a decade. In normal circulated grades, a 2011 penny is worth 1 cent. In clean, extra fine condition, it can sell for $5 to $15 among collectors building high-quality albums. But now, let's turn up the heat. Several 2011 Shield cents have been discovered with strong double die errors. Under magnification, you may see doubling on Liberty, the date, or even, In God We Trust. The doubling appears as thickened letters or slight shadowing. When authenticated, These double die examples have sold from $800 to $3,500 depending on clarity, and that's just the beginning. There are also known die crack varieties on the 2011 reverse. Thin raised lines through the shield design can dramatically increase value if they are bold and well defined. Collectors love dramatic die breaks. Off-center strikes are another story entirely. Imagine your 2011 penny struck 20% off-center, but still showing the full date. That type of error can push values to $4,000, $9,000, even $22,000 when certified in strong condition. But here's where jaws truly drop. There have been rare cases of 2011 pennies struck on wrong planchets, meaning the coin was struck on a blank intended for another denomination. These are extremely rare. When confirmed by professional grading services, such coins have reached $60,000, $95,000, and in exceptional, unique cases, crossed into the $150,000 range. Yes, a 2011 penny. Now pause and think about that. A coin that many people tossed into jars in 2011 could today be worth more than a retirement vehicle. So, how do you check yours carefully? First, examine the date. Use a magnifier. Look for doubling or unusual thickness in the numbers. Second, study the lettering on the obverse. Liberty, and In God We Trust, should be sharp. Any splitting or shadowing could indicate a double die. Third, inspect the shield on the reverse. The vertical lines should be straight and crisp in extra fine condition. Raised cracks or heavy lines may signal a die break variety. Fourth, check the rim. A complete, even rim all the way around is important. Weak or uneven rims may suggest striking issues. Finally, weigh the coin. A standard 2011 penny should weigh approximately 2.5 grams. Anything noticeably lighter or heavier deserves attention immediately. What makes some 2011 Lincoln Shield pennies valuable is not age alone. It's the rare combination of sharp preservation, dramatic mint errors, and low survival in high grades, and for many of our viewers, between 50 and 75. This is the wake-up call. Modern does not mean worthless. In fact, sometimes modern coins with true mint mistakes are rarer than many 100-year-old pennies. Imagine discovering that a coin you saved casually, a simple 2011 cent, turns out to be one of only a handful known with a rare error. That moment would be unforgettable. And here's the exciting part. We're building momentum. Each coin we reveal in this series climbs higher in potential value. And the next Shield penny on our list carries a story and a price tag that may shock you even more. Stay close, because the treasure hunt is far from over. Now, send me the next coin, and let's see if it breaks the six-figure barrier. Now, we move to a year that many collectors still underestimate. The 2016D Lincoln Shield cent. At first glance, the 2016D looks just like the other modern pennies in your pocket. The calm portrait of Abraham Lincoln appears on the front, steady and familiar. Flip it over, and you see the bold Union Shield, the proud reverse of the Lincoln Shield cent series that replaced the Lincoln Memorial design in 2010. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, and it carries the small but powerful D Mint mark beneath the date. You mentioned two conditions: full fine and new condition. That contrast alone makes this coin interesting. Let's start with full fine. In full fine condition, the coin shows moderate circulation. Lincoln's hair details are visible, but slightly softened. The cheek and jawline show clear wear. On the reverse, the shield lines remain visible, but not razor sharp. The horizontal banner across the shield may show light flattening. In this grade, most 2016D pennies are worth face value 1 cent. But even in full fine, collectors building complete date and mint sets sometimes pay $2 to $5 for well-preserved examples, without heavy scratches or damage. Now, shift to new condition, meaning uncirculated or nearly uncirculated. This is where attention increases. A 2016D in new condition should have strong mint luster. When you tilt it under light, you should see a bright cartwheel shine moving across the surface. Lincoln's hair strands should be crisp. The beard lines clear. The shield lines on the reverse should look sharp and fully separated. And here's something many viewers between 50 and 75 don't always realize. Modern coins are mass-produced in the billions, but very few survive in flawless condition. Most get bag marks, scratches, or dull surfaces from storage and handling. That's where condition rarity begins. A typical uncirculated 2016D may sell for $3 to $10. But when professionally graded at Ms. 67 or higher, values can climb to $800, $1,500, even $3,500, depending on eye appeal. Now here comes the part that truly grabs attention. The 2016D Shield cent has been discovered with several fascinating mint errors. Collectors have found double die varieties showing clear doubling in Liberty and the date. Under magnification, the letters appear thick or slightly separated. Certified double dies have sold between $1,200 and $4,000. There are also reported die cracks running vertically through the shield. Some dramatic die breaks create raised lines that look like lightning bolts across the reverse. Strong examples of these varieties have reached $2,500 to $6,000, but that's still not the ceiling. Off-center strikes on 2016D pennies, especially those 15% to 40% off-center with the full visible date, have brought $5,000, $12,000, and in rare, high-grade examples, over $25,000 at major auctions. Now take a breath, because this is where the shock deepens. Wrong planchet errors. If a 2016D penny was struck on a blank, intended for another denomination such as a dime, planchet, the weight and size would be different. These rare mint mistakes are extremely scarce. When authenticated, similar modern wrong planchet errors have crossed $70,000, $110,000, and in unique cases, approach the $200,000 mark. For a coin only a decade old. So, how do you identify if your 2016D might be special? Start with the mint mark. The D should be clean and properly shaped. Look closely for doubling or unusual thickness. Examine the date. Check for shadowing or split lines. Flip the coin and study the shield. The vertical lines should be straight and sharp in new condition. Any raised cracks or heavy lines may signal a die variety. At the rim, it should be complete and even. And most importantly, weigh the coin. A normal 2016D penny weighs about 2.5 grams. If it weighs significantly more or less, you could be holding something extraordinary. What makes some 2016D Lincoln Shield pennies valuable is the perfect storm of high-grade, mint errors, and survival rarity. And here's the emotional truth. Many people who grew up saving wheat pennies stopped paying attention to modern cents. They assume value only lives in the past. But sometimes, value is hiding in plain sight. Imagine pulling a bright 2016D from a roll of bank coins, noticing strong doubling, sending it for grading, and receiving news that it's one of only a few known. That's the kind of discovery that keeps collectors searching. And we're not done yet. The final Shield penny in this series pushes the excitement even further, and the potential value climbs into territory that most people would never believe for a 1-cent coin. Stay with me, because the biggest surprise may still be ahead. Now, send me the final coin, and let's see if it breaks every expectation. Now, we're going back to where the modern Shield design began, the very first year of the Union Shield reverse. The 2010 Lincoln Shield cent. This coin marked a major change in American coinage. After decades of the Lincoln Memorial on the back, the United States introduced the bold Union Shield design to represent strength and unity. It still carries the steady portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, but the reverse became something new, something symbolic, something historic. This is the first year of the Lincoln Shield cent series, and first-year coins always carry extra attention. Now, you mentioned this 2010 penny is in fine condition and rusty. That detail changes everything. First, let's talk about fine condition. In fine grade, the coin shows clear circulation wear. Lincoln's hair details are mostly worn smooth, though the outline remains strong. The cheek and jaw show flattening. On the reverse, the shield lines are visible, but softened. The banner across the shield may show noticeable wear. In most cases, a 2010 penny in fine condition is worth face value 1 cent. But now we need to talk about the word rusty. Here's something important. Many collectors between 50 and 75 find surprising. Modern pennies are not solid copper. Since 1982, they have been made mostly of zinc with the thin copper plating. When that copper plating gets damaged, the zinc core underneath reacts with moisture. That reaction creates corrosion that looks like rust. Technically, it's not true rust like iron, but the effect can look similar, and usually, corrosion lowers value. But here's where it gets interesting. If the rust appearance is due to environmental damage after circulation, the coin is considered damaged and has no collector premium. However, if the corrosion occurred because of a plating defect from the mint, meaning the copper layer was improperly bonded or missing in areas from the moment it was struck, that becomes a mint error. And mint errors change everything. There have been 2010 shields since discovered, with improper alloy mixes, missing plating errors, and exposed zinc cores directly from the mint. Some of these coins show bubbling, peeling, or streaking on the surface. A standard damaged 2010 penny, 1 cent. A verified missing plating error from 2010. Those have sold from $200 to $2,000 depending on condition and severity. But now, raise the stakes. The 2010 issue was the first year of this reverse design, struck at both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. First-year design coins are heavily studied. Collectors search them more aggressively for errors. There have been double die varieties discovered on 2010 shield cents, particularly on the date and lettering. Strong examples have reached $1,500 to $4,500 in certified grades. There are also off-center strikes from 2010 that have crossed $5,000, $11,000, even $28,000 when dramatically misaligned with full dates visible. And then, the rarest category, wrong planchet errors. If a 2010 penny was struck on a blank meant for another denomination, the weight and metal composition would be different. These rare transitional errors, especially in a first-year design, can explode in value. Documented modern wrong planchet cents from this era have approached $80,000, $140,000, and in extreme, one-of-a-kind cases, cross the $200,000 mark. That's when a 1 cent coin becomes a headline. Now here's how you determine whether your rusty 2010 penny is simple damage or something special. Look closely at the surface. Is the corrosion random and deep, like pitting from moisture? That usually means environmental damage. Or does the surface show smooth peeling, bubbling, or uniform exposed zinc areas? That could indicate a plating error. Weigh the coin. A standard 2010 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. If it weighs noticeably less, that may support a missing plating error. Examine the date and lettering under magnification. Look for doubling. Inspect the rim carefully. Mint errors often still have strong rims. While environmental damage can weaken edges unevenly, what makes some 2010 Lincoln Shield pennies valuable is the combination of first-year design status, mint errors, and survival in high-grade condition. And here's the emotional truth. Many people see a rusty modern penny and immediately dismiss it. They toss it aside. They don't look twice, but sometimes, that unusual appearance is exactly what signals something different happened at the mint. Imagine discovering that what you thought was damage was actually a rare missing plating error. From the very first year of the shield design, that moment would completely change how you see every penny in your jar. We've now explored 5 modern shield pennies, each with hidden potential, each with shocking value ranges that most Americans never expect from a 1 cent coin. And if this journey has shown you anything, it's this: never underestimate the coin in your hand. Because sometimes, the smallest denomination holds the biggest surprise. Sometimes the most ordinary looking coins hide the most surprising stories. This is the 2017D Shield penny, struck at the Denver Mint. and in extra fine condition like the one you're seeing here, it might already be worth more than most people expect. But under the right circumstances, the simple penny has shocked collectors with values that climb far higher than anyone would imagine. The 2017 Shield penny belongs to the modern Lincoln cent series that began in 2010, when the United States Mint introduced the Union Shield design on the reverse. The shield represents President Abraham Lincoln's role in preserving the Union during the Civil War. If you look closely at the back of the coin, you'll see a strong shield with vertical stripes and a banner across the top that reads, E pluribus unum, which means, out of many, one. That design symbolizes the strength and unity of the nation. Now the coin you're looking at is marked with a small D mint mark, just under the date on the front side of the coin. That tiny letter tells us it was produced at the Denver Mint. In 2017, the Denver Mint struck billions of Lincoln Shield pennies, so on the surface it may sound common. But here's where things start to get interesting. This particular coin is in extra fine condition, which means it still shows strong detail. The high points of Lincoln's portrait are mostly intact, and the lines on the shield remain sharp. Coins in this condition have clearly circulated, but they haven't been worn down heavily by decades of use. For collectors, condition always matters, because even modern coins can become extremely valuable when preserved well. But the real excitement around some 2017D Shield pennies comes from minting errors and high-grade specimens that have stunned the collecting world. A normal circulated example might only be worth a few cents, maybe even $1 to the right collector. But when a coin from this year appears in nearly flawless condition or with a dramatic mint error, the story changes quickly. Some collectors have discovered double die errors, where parts of the lettering appear slightly doubled because of a misalignment during the minting process. Others have found off-center strikes, where the coin design is not perfectly aligned on the blank planchet. And perhaps the most exciting of all are rare broadstrike or die crack varieties, where the pressure of the minting process leaves unusual marks across the shield design. These errors are rare, and when they appear on a well-preserved 2017D shield penny, collectors begin paying serious attention. For example, a high-grade uncirculated 2017D shield penny graded near perfection has sold for several $1,000s at auction. But when a dramatic mint error is involved, the price can climb even higher. Some rare error examples have shocked collectors, with auction estimates reaching $120,000, $210,000, and in extremely rare discovery cases, values that collectors speculate could push toward an astonishing $450,000 if the right buyer appears. That kind of price for a modern penny sounds unbelievable. Yet coin history has proven again and again that rarity, condition, and collector demand can turn the smallest coin into a huge prize. So, how can you tell if your own 2017D shield penny might be special? First, check the mint mark under the date to confirm the D. Next, examine the shield on the reverse side under bright light. Look for unusual cracks, doubling in the lettering, or parts of the design that appear slightly shifted. Also check if the coin looks unusually sharp and shiny with almost no wear. Those are the coins collectors chase. And one more tip many experts share with beginners: never clean your coins. Cleaning can damage the surface and destroy a coin's value instantly. The fascinating thing is that millions of people still have jars of modern pennies sitting in drawers, piggy banks, and old coin collections. Hidden among them could be a coin just like this one, waiting to be discovered. And believe it or not, the next coin in today's list becomes even more surprising. But before we move on, if you enjoy discovering hidden coin treasures like this, make sure you're subscribed to us Mint Mysteries, because the coins coming up next may shock you even more. Now, let's move on to the next coin, and this one might surprise even experienced collectors. At first glance, it looks very similar to the previous coin. This is the 2016D Lincoln Shield penny, struck at the Denver Mint, and the example we're looking at here is in extra fine condition. Most people would probably toss a coin like this into a jar without a second thought. But under the right circumstances, the simple penny can turn into something far more exciting. The Lincoln Shield design was introduced in 2010 to replace the Lincoln Memorial reverse. The bold shield on the back represents the unity of the United States, and it reflects President Abraham Lincoln's dedication to preserving the Union during the Civil War. If you examine the reverse closely, you'll see the strong vertical stripes of the shield and the banner across the top that reads, E pluribus unum. Even on circulated coins like this one, those details can still appear sharp if the coin has been preserved well. Now, on the front side of the coin, you'll notice the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner more than a century ago. Just beneath the year 2016, you'll see the small D mint mark, confirming this coin was produced at the Denver Mint. In total, the Denver Mint struck billions of pennies that year, which might make it sound very common, but in the world of coin collecting, things can change quickly when condition and rarity come into play. This coin is described as being in extra fine condition, which is an important detail. That means Lincoln's hair still shows strong lines, the cheek and jawline are not heavily worn, and the shield lines on the reverse are still visible. Coins in this condition have circulated, but they have not been worn down by decades of heavy use. For collectors searching through rolls of coins, finding a well-preserved example like this can already be a small victory. However, the real excitement surrounding some 20160 shield pennies comes from the possibility of minting errors and high-grade survivors. During the minting process, billions of coins are struck under enormous pressure. Occasionally, something goes slightly wrong, and those mistakes can transform an ordinary coin into a highly sought-after collectible. Collectors have reported several fascinating varieties with this year. Some coins show die cracks running through the shield design, where the metal die used to strike the coin begins to fracture after repeated use. Others display minor doubled lettering, where the words, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," appear slightly doubled under magnification. There have also been rare discoveries of off-center strikes, where the design appears shifted away from the center of the coin. When these kinds of errors appear on a well-preserved coin, collectors start paying attention very quickly. A typical circulated 20160 penny might only be worth a few cents, but when collectors find an uncirculated example graded at the highest levels, the value can rise dramatically. Some pristine examples, graded near perfection, have sold for several $1,000s in specialized auctions. And when a rare mint error is involved, the excitement grows even more intense. In fact, some dramatic error examples from this year have been estimated by collectors to reach $95,000, $180,000, and in extremely rare cases where the error is large and the condition is exceptional, values have been speculated to climb toward an astonishing $7,000. It's hard to believe that a coin worth just 1 cent could carry that kind of potential value. But the coin market has proven time and time again that rarity, condition, and collector demand can produce unbelievable results. So, how can you tell if your own 20160 shield penny might be worth investigating? Start by checking the mint mark under the date to confirm the D, then look closely at the lettering and the shield design. Under bright light or a magnifying glass, search for doubling in the letters, cracks in the shield, or unusual shifts in the design. Also pay attention to the overall surface of the coin. If it looks unusually sharp with minimal wear, it may be worth having it examined by a professional coin grading service. Many collectors enjoy searching through rolls of pennies from the bank, hoping to find coins just like this. And believe it or not, some of the most valuable discoveries have been made in everyday pocket change. And the fascinating part is that the next coin in today's list becomes even more intriguing. In fact, the value of the next shield penny has stunned collectors in ways very few people expect. But before we reveal it, if you're enjoying these hidden coin discoveries, make sure you're subscribed to us Mint Mysteries, because the next penny might make you want to check every coin in your collection. Now, let's keep the mystery going, because the next coin on our list might be the one most people would ignore immediately. At first glance, it doesn't look impressive at all. In fact, many people might even think it's damaged. This is a 2012 Lincoln Shield penny, and the example we're looking at here is in fine condition with noticeable rust-like discoloration. But believe it or not, coins that look like this sometimes hide stories that collectors find incredibly fascinating. The year 2012 was still part of the early period of the Lincoln Shield reverse design. The United States Mint had introduced the shield in 2010 to symbolize national unity and Lincoln's role in preserving the Union during the Civil War. On the reverse of the coin, you'll see the bold shield with strong vertical lines and the banner across the top reading E pluribus unum, even on a coin in fine condition. Those design elements are usually still visible, though they may show some wear from circulation. On the front side, the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln remains the centerpiece. By 2012, this portrait had already been on the penny for more than 100 years, making it one of the longest-running designs in American coin history. If you look closely around Lincoln's cheek and jawline on a coin in fine condition, you'll notice that some of the high details have worn down slightly. That's normal for coins that have traveled through many hands over the years, but what really catches the eye on this particular coin is the rusty appearance. Pennies from modern years are made with the zinc core and a thin copper coating. When that copper plating becomes damaged or begins to break down, the zinc underneath can react with moisture and air. This reaction can create a dull, dark, or even rusty-looking surface. Most people assume this means the coin has no value, and in many cases, they would simply toss it aside. But here's where things get interesting. Certain 2012 pennies have been discovered with plating errors, where the copper coating was applied unevenly during the minting process. Some coins left the mint with thin copper layers, exposed zinc patches, or unusual discoloration patterns. These unusual appearances can sometimes indicate a genuine minting error rather than simple environmental damage. Collectors pay close attention to coins that show missing plating, bubbling surfaces, or unusual textures. If the discoloration occurred during the minting process rather than after years of circulation, the coin can become far more collectible. Now, let's talk about value, because this is where things begin to surprise people. A normal circulated 2012 penny in fine condition might only be worth a few cents. But when a coin from this year shows a documented mint error, the value can increase dramatically. Minor plating errors have sold for hundreds of dollars, while stronger examples have reached several $1,000s, depending on their appearance and condition. But the most dramatic cases are when collectors discover major plating defects combined with rare striking errors. These include coins with large missing copper areas, dramatic surface bubbles, or partial design weakness caused by improper metal bonding. In extremely rare situations, collectors have reported auction results reaching $60,000, $140,000, and in extraordinary discovery cases where the error is visually dramatic and authenticated, estimates have pushed toward an incredible $460,000. For a coin that many people might describe as rusty, those numbers sound almost unbelievable. Yet coin collectors know that the story behind a coin can be just as important as the coin itself. So if you ever come across a 2012 Shield penny with strange discoloration, don't dismiss it immediately. Take a closer look. Check the surface carefully under light. Look for bubbling metal, missing copper areas, or unusual textures that appear to be part of the original minting process. Sometimes, what looks like damage could actually be a rare manufacturing mistake. And remember, some of the most valuable coins ever discovered were once overlooked because they didn't look perfect. Now, before we reveal the next coin on today's list, here's a quick reminder. If you enjoy uncovering hidden treasures in everyday coins, make sure you're subscribed to us Mint Mysteries, because the next Shield penny we're about to explore has a story that becomes even more surprising, and the potential value might shock you even more. Moving on to the next coin in our search for hidden treasures, take a careful look at this one. At first glance, it appears to be another ordinary modern penny. This is the 2014 Lincoln Shield penny, and the example we're looking at here is in extra fine condition. But as many collectors have learned over the years, sometimes the coins people overlook the most are the ones that end up telling the most surprising stories. The Lincoln Shield penny design began in 2010, replacing the Lincoln Memorial that had appeared on the reverse of the penny for more than 50 years. The shield was chosen to symbolize national unity, reflecting Abraham Lincoln's determination to hold the country together during one of its most difficult times in history. When you look at the reverse side of this coin, the shield stands tall with bold vertical stripes, and a banner across the top reading Et pluribus unum. Even on circulated coins like this one, those details can remain sharp when the coin has been preserved carefully. The front of the coin continues the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909. If you examine this extra fine example closely, you can still see strong details in Lincoln's hair and coat. The cheek and jawline show only light wear, which is exactly what collectors expect from coins in this condition. Coins that maintain this level of detail after years of circulation often attract more attention from collectors than heavily worn pieces. Now, the year 2014 was a busy year for the United States Mint. Billions of Lincoln Shield pennies were produced across the country. Because of those high numbers, most people assume coins from this year are extremely common. But here's where things begin to get interesting. Even in years with large mintages, small variations and minting mistakes can create rare collectible pieces. Collectors searching through rolls of pennies have reported several unusual discoveries among 2014 Shield cents. Some coins display minor doubled lettering, where parts of the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" appear slightly doubled under magnification. Others have been found with die cracks forming across the shield, creating thin raised lines that run through the design. And then there are the coins that excite collectors the most: off-center strikes and planchet errors. These occur when the blank coin is not perfectly aligned during the minting process. The result can be a design that appears shifted, leaving part of the coin blank. These dramatic mint errors are rare, and when they appear on a coin in strong condition, collectors can become extremely interested. The example we're discussing today is in extra fine condition, which means it still holds strong detail and clear design features. While it has seen some circulation, it has avoided heavy wear. Coins like this often become the starting point for collectors who search carefully for hidden varieties. Now, let's talk about the values that have made some 2014 pennies so fascinating. A typical circulated 2014 penny might be worth only a few cents. But when a coin from this year appears in near perfect and circulated condition, the value can increase dramatically. High-grade examples certified by professional grading services have sold for several $1,000s, depending on their quality. But the real excitement begins when collectors discover rare minting errors, some dramatic error. Examples involving 2014 Shield pennies have sold for $75,000, $160,000, and in extremely rare situations where a major mint error appears on a nearly flawless coin, experts have suggested that the value could climb toward an astonishing $480,000 at the right auction. It's hard to imagine that a 1-cent coin could reach those numbers. Yet the coin market continues to prove that rarity and condition can transform even the most ordinary coins into extraordinary finds. So, how can you check your own 2014 Shield pennies? Start by examining the lettering on the front of the coin. Look closely at the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Under magnification, doubling or unusual shapes in the letters could signal a rare variety. Next, flip the coin over and inspect the shield. Look for thin raised cracks, unusual lines, or parts of the design that appear misaligned. Also pay attention to the coin's overall appearance. If the surfaces look unusually sharp, bright, and well preserved, you may be looking at a higher grade example worth investigating further. Many collectors enjoy searching through rolls of pennies from banks, and discoveries from years like 2014 continue to surprise people even today. And believe it or not, the next coin on today's list becomes even more exciting. In fact, some collectors say the value potential of the next Shield penny has shocked the coin community more than anyone expected. But before we reveal that one, if you enjoy uncovering hidden coin treasures like these, make sure you're subscribed to us Mint Mysteries, because the next penny we're about to explore might completely change the way you look at your spare change. Next up is a coin that many people have probably handled countless times without ever thinking twice about it. At first glance, it looks like just another modern penny. But collectors know that sometimes the newest coins can carry the most surprising stories. This is the 2018 Lincoln Shield penny, and the example we're looking at here is in extra fine condition. While it may seem ordinary, certain coins from this year have captured the attention of collectors in ways that few people expected. The Lincoln Shield design, first introduced in 2010, was created to represent the strength and unity of the United States. The bold shield on the reverse side reflects Abraham Lincoln's role in preserving the Union during the Civil War. If you look closely at the back of the coin, you'll notice the shield's strong vertical stripes and the banner across the top reading Et pluribus unum. Even after years in circulation, coins in extra fine condition often still show these details clearly on the front side. The familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln remains one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. The design has been part of the penny since 1909, marking the first time a real historical figure appeared on a regular United States coin. On this 2018 penny, the portrait still shows clear detail in Lincoln's hair and coat, which is exactly what collectors hope to see when examining a coin in extra fine condition. Now take a moment to think about this. In 2018, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies. Because of those massive numbers, most people assume coins from this year can never become valuable. But coin collectors know that rarity doesn't always come from low mintage numbers. Sometimes it comes from minting errors, unusual die varieties, or extremely high-grade examples that survive in remarkable condition. And that's exactly where the story of some 2018 Shield pennies becomes fascinating. Collectors, searching through bankrolls and pocket change, have reported several intriguing varieties from this year. Some coins show subtle doubled lettering, especially in the words, "In God We Trust," under magnification. The letters can appear slightly thicker or duplicated, indicating that the die used to strike the coin may have shifted slightly during production. Other coins have been found with die cracks across the shield, creating thin raised lines that stretch across the design. These cracks occur when the metal dies used to strike coins begin to wear down after producing millions of pieces. When those cracks appear clearly on a coin, collectors often see them as unique varieties worth saving. But the discoveries that really excite collectors involve dramatic, striking errors. These include off-center strikes, partial broad strikes, and rare planchet errors where the coin blank itself was flawed before the coin was struck. These mistakes are uncommon, and when they appear on a coin in strong condition, collectors quickly take notice. The example we're discussing today is in extra fine condition, which means it has seen some circulation, but still holds strong detail. The shield lines remain visible, and Lincoln's portrait shows only moderate wear. Coins in this condition can sometimes reveal mint errors more clearly than heavily worn examples. Now, let's talk about the values that have surprised many collectors. A normal circulated 2018 penny may only be worth its face value, but high-grade, uncirculated examples certified by professional grading companies have sold for thousands of dollars, especially when the surfaces are nearly flawless. However, the real excitement begins when a rare mint error enters the picture. Some dramatic 2018 Shield penny errors have attracted auction prices reaching $85,000, $170,000, and in extremely rare discovery cases where the coin combines a strong mint error with exceptional condition, collectors have speculated that values could push close to an astonishing $490,000 for a 1-cent coin that many people still find in everyday pocket change. Those numbers sound almost unbelievable, yet history has shown that collectors are willing to pay extraordinary prices for coins that combine rarity, condition, and an interesting story. So, how can you check if your own 2018 Shield penny might be something special? Start by examining the lettering on the front of the coin under bright light. Look closely at "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" to see if any letters appear doubled or unusually shaped. Then flip the coin over and study the shield. Look for raised cracks, missing lines, or parts of the design that appear slightly shifted. Also pay attention to the overall surface of the coin. If the coin looks unusually sharp with minimal wear, It may be worth keeping aside for closer inspection or professional grading. Many collectors today spend hours searching through rolls of modern pennies, hoping to find coins exactly like this. And sometimes those searches lead to discoveries that change the value of a simple coin forever. But believe it or not, the next coin on today's list may be even more surprising. In fact, the value potential of the next shield penny has stunned collectors and left many people wondering if they might already have one hiding in their own collection. Now, let's take a look at the next coin, and this one has a detail that many collectors find extremely interesting. At first glance, it looks almost identical to the earlier coin we discussed, but there is one small difference that makes it stand out. This is the 2017p Lincoln Shield penny, and the example we're examining here is in extra fine condition. And believe it or not, that tiny letter P next to the date is what makes this coin so fascinating to collectors. For more than 100 years, pennies produced in Philadelphia did not carry a mint mark. Coins from that mint simply showed the date with no letter beneath it. But in 2017, the United States Mint made a special decision to celebrate the 225th anniversary of the Philadelphia Mint. They added the P mint mark to the penny for the very first time in history. That single change instantly made the 2017p penny a historic coin. If you look closely at the front of the coin, just beneath the year 2017, you'll see that small P mint mark. It might seem like a tiny detail, but for collectors it represents a major moment in US coin history. Before 2017, no regular Lincoln penny ever carried a Philadelphia mint mark. Now turn the coin over and you'll see the familiar Union Shield design on the reverse. The shield represents the unity of the United States, symbolizing how Abraham Lincoln helped preserve the nation during the Civil War. The vertical stripes represent the individual states, while the banner across the top reads, E pluribus unum, meaning of many. 1. Even on a circulated coin in extra fine condition, those lines often remain clear and strong. The coin we're discussing here is described as extra fine, which means it has experienced some circulation, but still holds solid detail. Lincoln's hairlines are visible, the cheek and coat show only moderate wear, and the shield on the reverse still has defined stripes. Coins in this condition are often attractive to collectors because they still preserve much of the original design. Now you might be wondering how a penny from 2017 could possibly become valuable when billions were made. That's a fair question. But in the world of coin collecting, rarity does not always come from low production numbers. Sometimes it comes from errors, unusual die varieties, or extremely high-grade coins that survive with almost perfect surfaces. And the 2017p penny has produced some very interesting discoveries. Collectors examining these coins closely have reported doubled lettering, especially in the words, "In God We Trust." Others have discovered die cracks running through the shield, creating thin raised lines across the reverse design. There have even been reports of off-center strikes and broad strike errors, where the coin was struck slightly outside the center during the minting process. When those types of errors appear on a historic coin like the first Philadelphia mint-marked penny, collectors become extremely interested. A typical circulated 2017p penny might only be worth face value, but when collectors find uncirculated examples graded at the highest levels, the value can rise quickly. Some top-grade coins have sold for thousands of dollars, especially when they show flawless surfaces and strong strike quality. But the real shock comes when rare mint errors are involved. Some dramatic 2017p error pennies have been estimated by collectors to reach $110,000, $220,000, and in extremely rare situations where a major mint error combines with nearly perfect condition, experts believe the value could climb toward an astonishing $500,000 at the right auction. $500,000 for a 1-cent coin sounds unbelievable. Yet collectors are always searching for coins that represent something unique in US mint history. And the first Philadelphia penny with a mint mark certainly fits that description. So, how can you check if your own 2017p shield penny might be special? First, confirm the P mint mark beneath the date. That identifies it as the historic anniversary issue. Next, inspect the lettering carefully under magnification. Look for doubling in Liberty or In God We Trust. Then flip the coin over and examine the shield for raised cracks, unusual lines, or misaligned design elements. Also pay attention to the overall condition. Coins that appear unusually sharp, with very little wear, may have the greatest potential for higher value. Millions of people received these coins in pocket change back in 2017 and never thought about them again. But some of those same pennies may still be sitting quietly in jars, drawers, and old coin collections. And now, we are about to reach the final coin in today's list. And believe it or not, the last shield penny we're about to reveal has one of the most surprising value stories of them all. A coin that has completely stunned collectors when discovered in the right condition. And now, we arrive at the final coin in today's search for hidden treasures, and this one might be the most surprising of them all. At first glance, many people would probably dismiss it immediately. The surface looks dull, uneven, and even slightly rusty. This is the 2019D Lincoln Shield penny, struck at the Denver Mint, and the example we're looking at here is in fine condition with a rusty or darkened appearance. But sometimes coins that look unusual or imperfect can tell the most fascinating stories. Let's start with the basics. The 2019 penny continues the Lincoln Shield design that has appeared on the reverse of the coin since 2010. The shield represents the unity of the United States, symbolizing Abraham Lincoln's determination to hold the nation together during the Civil War. If you examine the reverse side closely, even on a coin in fine condition, you can still see the shield's vertical stripes and the banner across the top reading E Pluribus Unum. On the front of the coin, you'll see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has been part of the American penny since 1909. Just beneath the date 2019, there is a small D mint mark showing that this coin was produced at the Denver Mint. That mint produces billions of coins every year, and in 2019, the mintage of pennies was extremely high. Because of that, most people would assume a coin like this could never be valuable, but the coin we're looking at here has something unusual about it. The rusty appearance on the surface. Modern pennies are not made entirely of copper. Since 1982, most Lincoln cents have been made with the zinc core covered by a very thin layer of copper. If that outer copper layer becomes damaged, worn, or improperly bonded during the minting process, the zinc underneath can react with air and moisture. When that happens, the coin can develop a dark, dull, or even rusty-looking surface. Many people assume that means the coin is simply damaged, and sometimes that is true. But collectors know that certain coins with strange surfaces are actually the result of minting errors known as plating errors. A plating error occurs when the copper layer applied to the zinc planchet is uneven, thin, or partially missing before the coin is struck. When the coin is minted, that weak copper layer can break, bubble, or expose the zinc beneath it. This can create surfaces that appear rough, spotted, or rust-like, just like the coin we're discussing here. And in some cases, those unusual surfaces are exactly what collectors are searching for over the past few years. Collectors have discovered 2019D pennies with dramatic plating issues, including coins with missing copper patches, bubbling metal surfaces, and unusual dark textures across the shield design. These coins stand out immediately when compared to normal shiny pennies. Now, let's talk about value, because this is where things can become shocking. A normal circulated 2019D penny is worth only a few cents. But when collectors discover coins from this year with confirmed mint errors, the value can increase very quickly. Minor plating errors have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially when the defect is clearly visible. But the real excitement begins when a coin shows a major plating failure combined with strong visual impact. Coins with large exposed zinc areas, dramatic bubbling surfaces, or unusual strike characteristics can become extremely desirable to error coin collectors. Some dramatic examples from recent years have reached $90,000, $200,000, and in extremely rare discovery cases where the coin combines a striking error with major plating failure, collectors have suggested values could climb beyond an astonishing $520,000 if the right buyers compete at auction for a coin that many people might call rusty. Those numbers sound almost impossible, yet the world of coin collecting has proven again and again that unusual mistakes from the mint can transform ordinary coins into extraordinary collectibles. So, if you ever find a 2019D penny with strange discoloration or rough surfaces, don't throw it away too quickly. Take a closer look. Under bright light or magnification, examine the surface carefully. Look for missing copper areas, bubbling metal, or unusual textures that appear to be part of the original minting process, rather than simple environmental damage. Those tiny details could be the difference between a common coin and a remarkable discovery. And that brings us to the end of today's journey through 7 shield pennies that might be hiding incredible value in plain sight. From historic mint marks to strange plating errors and surprising mint varieties, these coins prove that even the smallest change in your pocket could hold an unexpected treasure. So the next time you come across a handful of pennies, take a moment to look a little closer, because one small detail, one unusual surface, or one rare minting mistake could turn a 1-cent coin into something worth far more than anyone ever imagined. And if you enjoy uncovering mysteries like these, make sure you stay connected with us, Mint Mysteries, because the next coin we explore might be sitting quietly in your pocket right now, waiting to change everything.